Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros. I am T Shroom, and you're in for a treat. You know, I go live on Mondays, on Wednesdays, on Fridays, every single weekday, and I'm actually one of the very first crypto live shows of the trading day, and I love to share it with you all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're going to get into the Bitcoin charts right now and show you guys that we have had a little bit of a resurgence here, but not very much. So we've had a bounce starting on yesterday morning, and that bounce has continued. But as you can see, it's only really about 2% to the upside from that line of uptrending support. Now, from the wick down from the bottom, you can see that we have had a much bigger of a bounce, about 7% from that wick. So depending on which way you want to look at it, we are seeing some bullish optimism return to the market after a very big sell-off here, about a 10% sell-off, for reasons that are still mysterious, but are largely accredited to a bearish report that came out, and then also, just a smattering of other reasons why we had this sell-off right here for Bitcoin. Meanwhile, on the Ethereum charts, you can see we've had similar price movement as Ethereum has mostly stayed range-bound within this block of trading, and most investors are expecting a move higher for Ethereum to push back about 8% to test those highs if all market conditions continue. But the big and exciting feature for today is that there's actually some new guidance out that may actually have us seeing an approval or a denial as early as tomorrow. Now, it could come today. There's no reason why it couldn't come today. But tomorrow, there's actually some reason to believe. We'll see. But the deadline, of course, for that ARK Invest spot Bitcoin ETF's approval is January 10th. And it's coming up quick, guys. It's coming up quick. But there's actually generally no reason why the SEC couldn't go ahead. They could have approved it as early as early December, right? The first couple days of December. They could have approved it as soon as it was filed, right? But that's obviously hasn't been the case. And January 10th is that big deadline coming up, and it's coming up quick. Well, again, thank you so much. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, I am T Shroom, and I'm extremely excited for you all to be joining me. I try to wake up the earliest I can so that I can bring you all the news and matters to you for your crypto portfolio. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names here in the chat, folks who are watching along with me and are as excited as I am to navigate these crypto markets. Nancy Croy, first in the chat, almost, I think this is the second time Nancy Croy has been first in the chat, at least for the 9 a.m. show. Nancy was the very first chat of 2024, live chat. So got to give it up for Nancy there. Eric Wallen, not too far behind. And of course, Army Piper saying, let's get it. Eric Wallen said, I almost had a kid yesterday. She stopped progressing. I'm not sure exactly what that means. She stopped progressing. Okay, I hope everything's going all right. I'm not sure what that means. But so you are saying your wife almost dumped like the markets. Oh, wow. So got a little bit of a crazy back and forth there in the comments. To start off our January 4th, Pokemon Gains said, hey T, can you talk about DOT please? So we got a request for Polkadot. I will go ahead and favorite that one. So if we have some time there at the end, I will absolutely go back and look at Polkadot's chart. Generally, I will say that Polkadot's pretty decent. It's a solid project. It's been around for a couple cycles now, and it has a strong team, and it's kind of topped the development charts for the last couple times. Hasn't been the number one necessarily for a long time, right? But it's been in the top 5 around the likes of Cardano, and I believe HBAR is another one that tops those charts. So Polkadot fundamentally pretty sound. From a chart performance standpoint, it hasn't really stood out, hasn't really been a big winner like Solana and Chainlink in my opinion. But DOT, it's a good interoperability project. Main competitor is going to be Cosmos. So something to know, something to think about for old Polkadot. Thank you so much for your chats, guys. Go ahead and like that smash button if you haven't already. It's going to really push us to the next level here. Well, let's go ahead and get into some of the different headlines we've got here. Let's see. I'll start off with the with the interesting one here, it's not quite the evidence we need to think that maybe we might see an approval tomorrow. We'll get to that in just a second. But this one is actually really, really interesting. So over here on Bloomberg.com, the official website for Bloomberg, I do not have a membership for them because I don't want that, but you can see the headline here says, Citi alumni plan Bitcoin securities that do not need SEC approval. What? Yeah, let's dive into it. So this website over here, crypto.news, has access to this full article, and they've written a summation of it for us. How nice of them. How very, very nice of them. Let's check it out. So according to a Bloomberg report published January 4th, so that'd be this morning, former Citigroup executives will offer Bitcoin-backed securities that they say do not need approval from U.S. regulators. That's bold. The brazen move will see the issuer start up what is known as a Receipts Depository Corporation, or RDC. The securities will be Bitcoin depository receipts that function similar to an American depository receipt representing foreign stocks. According to the company, the BTC-DR offering will provide institutions with access to securities through U.S. regulated market infrastructure and will be cleared through depository trust company. Interesting. The key difference from a Bitcoin ETF will be that depository receipts offer direct ownership of Bitcoin to qualified institutions, which RDC says will be the first of its kind to do so. According to the issuer, purchasing Bitcoin is not preferred for some regulated institutions as cryptocurrency markets face challenges, including blah, 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 blah. And according to Akita Mehta, co-founder and CEO of RDC and former Citigroup executive, we are a conversion tool for asset owners today, whether they are hedge funds, family offices, corporations, large institutions, investors that want to take their Bitcoin and convert it into DTC eligible security. Okay, so there's a lot of details here, a lot of Wall Street jargon that maybe isn't sinking in too deep with you. That's okay. I'll go ahead and break it down for you. After all, that's why you tune in and smash the like button. Guys, what's happening here is a little bit of judo because, of course, an RDC, a receipt of deposit, is going to be a much less attractive investment, a vehicle to gain exposure to spot Bitcoin than an ETF. ETFs are just so much more widely proliferated. You can buy them on any U.S. securities brokerage, whether that be TD Ameritrade or anything from Fidelity or any kind of investment bank's brokerage system. It's easy to buy an ETF, right? Now, if these Citibank alumni can make it just as easy to buy their receipts of depository, their depository receipts of Bitcoin, then you could have an interesting conversation about this as being a new vehicle for gaining exposure to spot Bitcoin ETF for institutions and, as they mentioned, like family offices and different things like that. So the important thing here, though, is that Wall Street is trying to play a different card, right? They're trying to say, hey, Gary, if you had any thoughts about not approving this SEC, not approving this ETF for Bitcoin, guess what? We're going to be able to obfuscate that anyway, and those institutions that are really, really hungry, they have a lot of demand to go ahead and gain exposure to Bitcoin spot for themselves or for their clients. We're going to be able to open up a channel for them to do just that, whether you approve the ETFs or not. Now, of course, something like that may actually be taken to court. There may be a halt put on that entire company that looks like that's going to be their sole purpose, is going to be doing that. And more than likely, the alumni of Citibank know that. They know that what they're getting into. They understand the risks and they're willing to take them because, after all, the way that I'm reading this is just a new card for Wall Street to play against the SEC to kind of say, hey, look, kind of forcing their hand, so to speak. But the reality is the SEC can have it both ways. They can have their cake and eat it too. They could deny the ETF and also put a halt on this new corporation that's looking to issue repository deposits, right? Or receipts of deposit. I'm not even sure how to even say this correctly, but this new investment vehicle for Bitcoin that allegedly doesn't need regulatory approval, but can be custodied, can be owned, can be purchased by massive institutions that can currently don't have legal clearance to purchase the Bitcoin futures ETFs, right? So you can kind of see how this all works in pieces together. If you're very new to crypto, if you're watching this YouTube channel for the very first time, your head is probably spinning. What the heck is this bald guy talking about with ETFs, repository receipts? I don't know about any of this stuff. Is my Bitcoin going to go up or is it going to go down? Listen, this is generally a very bullish story. This is not a bearish story. We have just had a very bearish event, right? Something that kind of sent shockwaves of doubt and fear throughout the crypto community. That was basically, this correction that we had yesterday. This is the Ethereum chart, but it looks very similar over on Bitcoin, had this big correction, right? So we've just come off this time of fear, this time of uncertainty, and now you're getting a very bullish headline, very bullish headline here of a new way for institutions to get exposure to spot Bitcoin and a way for potentially Wall Street to get what they want regardless of what the SEC thinks or decides. So it's bullish. It's generally bullish. I think that you will see price action move up and to the right today. But what else can we use to kind of predict what could happen in the rest of the trading day? Well, what I like to look at, especially right now at the beginning of the year and in these questionable economic times, is the 10-year Treasury. We'll also take a look at the Dixie here. On the 4-hour, you can see that the U.S. Treasury, for the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield has actually been able to trade below 4%, right? So it's wicked up above 4% a couple of times, but right now you can see that candle body is below 4%. The current trade price, yield price, not a trade price, but yield is below that 4%. That's a crucial psychological level, right? If we can stay below that, then that's going to be more bullish for risk assets. If we continue to move above that, then that starts to be a more and more viable alternative for investment, for dollars to go chase these risk-free assets that are U.S. Treasuries and chase the yield that can come from that annual yield. However, if this makes a move lower, then that opens up the door to risk assets. And by risk assets, I mean such things like crypto, Tesla, Apple, whatever it is, or maybe some Bitcoin repository deposits, whatever kind of exotic new financial instrument that comes trotting your way in shiny clothing, you'll be able to buy it, right? You'll be able to risk your dollars for the upside potential. Taking a look at the Dixie, we could probably see a pretty similar story indeed, as it pulls away from that $100 psychological level that it was able to get below back here in December 28th. It pulled away from that, had a hard bounce off of it, and is moving higher. Let's go out to the daily and see if we can see anything else on the Dixie. As you can see, I have a regression tool drawn here that kind of indicates where the bottom was. Now, the Dixie has penetrated back through that. Didn't spend very much time below the regression trend as it did back here in July. But it is moving back, and it's moving back with vengeance. This is basically the dollar index. So this is a basket of goods against the purchasing power of the dollar, right? That's kind of what this Dixie is. And there's a lot more to the basket. I know it's more than just prices of goods. But ultimately it gives investors and traders a good gauge of, is the dollar becoming more powerful or less powerful? Well, here you can see it's becoming more powerful. And as the dollar currency becomes more powerful, of course, other currencies are going to be less powerful. So generally, we're doing it. We're out here for the noobs. We're out here for the experience. We're trying to give a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit from both sides so that everybody can take something away from this live stream and have a lot of fun. I'm seeing some great chats in the chat here. Let's see what's going on. Alex O said, thanks for the work you put in, T-Shroom. Much love, homie. Very, very highly appreciative. I think Alex O is going to join me on Friday, 9 a.m., and we're going to rock it out. Alex O will show us some stuff on the charts, maybe some cryptos that we haven't heard before. We can take a little bit of a look at those. Maybe, Alex O, you've got something for us. Fade and Tradfi said, he was responding to Gustavo. Let's see if we can find Gustavo. Gustavo said, can you please share your thoughts on Atom? Great network, but the token is not connected to dApps. And then Fade and Tradfi said, yes, Gustavo. there's really no need to hold that Atom token for now. Just buy the Cosmos Eco token like Kuji, Tai, etc. There have been word that they might tie IB the Atom token, but that's been the word. Okay. I'm going to stay out of this one because generally, I mean, you asked a question, I don't know the answer to it. It network, but the token is not connected to dApps. I don't know whether or not Cosmos is connected to dApps. I know it's an interoperability chain, which the interoperability is trying to say, hey, Ethereum is limited in its ability to communicate and to be operable with Cardano. Cosmos wants to come along and be a third party on top and be able to help both of those chains communicate with each other, and then multiply that by every chain, by Tron connecting with AVAX, and even Bitcoin connecting with Litecoin, say. So that's what the interoperability chains are attempting to do. Cosmos is seen as an industry leader in that. However, I will say that there's definitely some new competition on the block. And, Fade and TradFi definitely seems to think that there are tokens that you can hold in the Cosmos ecosystem that are actually better than Cosmos itself, ticker ATOM. So, my dogs are going crazy. You might be able to hear them in the background. We're just going to press on, guys. We've got another couple of stories here. This next one's actually kind of interesting. It's off crypto, off the beaten path here. But Microsoft says a CoPilot key is coming to keyboards on Windows PCs starting this month. So if you've ever spent any time in the military, you'll be familiar with your CAC card that has to be put into your keyboard. So you cannot access your computer unless you have that CAC card inserted in the keyboard, and then you can drive. You can do what you need to do in that computer. However, it looks like Microsoft is going to go ahead and start installing what it calls a CoPilot key for having text conversations with the software's maker, Virtual Assistant. It's one of the most prominent additions to the Windows keyboard since 1994. Introduction of the Windows key for viewing the Start menu. CoPilot in Windows tabs artificial intelligence models from Microsoft back start OpenAI, maybe you've heard of it, which operates its own popular ChatGPT. So essentially there's a concern that whoever is communicating with these AIs isn't identified, right? Because I could be using my mom's computer, you could be using your boss's computer and chatting with these GPTs, and they want to know who is doing all the chatting. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and the long and short of it is that Windows is going ahead with this. Microsoft is going ahead and doing this. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't think it's going to see your desktop anytime soon, but if you're planning on buying a new fleet of computers for your corporation or for yourself, just know that you more than likely will have to start complying with this CoPilot situation. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Do you think this is good, or do you think that anonymity is actually more important when we're communicating with AIs? I want to know, so let me know down in the chat. Let me know down in the comments if you're watching this non-live. Gustavo has chimed in again. Fade and TradFi, thanks so much. There is no reason to hold that token. I have a bag stacking in Coinbase. It will take 30 days to unstake. Bad investment. So I hold Atom, and I'm not selling it. I was thinking about selling it, but between H-Bar and Atom, I actually sold my H-Bar. So you guys can tell me what you think about that decision. But I think Atom actually has a decent amount of upside in 2024. That's my take. I can make more of an argument for it, but that's not what this video is all about. Maybe I'll do a video on Atom. Well, we had a couple of requests for Polkadot. And we might as well go ahead and do Atom first. So people very interested in the interoperability coins this morning. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. So taking a look at Cosmos here on the daily chart, going all the way back at a yearly chart. It's mostly been sideways, right? As a lot of crypto has, a lot of solid crypto has been. But as we zoom in a little bit more, you can see that and it's been bought a lot more. It's been a lot more bullish momentum recently here from the MACD. And as you can see, man, I haven't had this indicator on in a long time. How did that get back on there? That's crazy. I think this is the chart prime indicator. I did not put that back on. Oh, no, it is the Ichimoku. Okay, so they have changed the Ichimoku, or they have added divergences to the Ichimoku. So that's kind of cool. Okay, sure. Sorry, guys, got distracted there. Yeah, so anyway, taking a look here at the 4-hour for Cosmos. Let's see what we can't pull out of here. I mean, the first thing that jumps out to me is that these Bollinger Bands are widening very quickly. And now that has everything to do with the dump that we had yesterday. So Cosmos was not immune from that move lower as it sliced through the midline of the Bollinger Band and has not really resumed higher yet. I mean, it was able to retrace from that wick up 11%. The entire dump was going to be pretty heavy. Yeah, it was about a 20% dump for Cosmos, double that of Bitcoin, peak to trough. And, I think Adam definitely has some upside here to explore, especially if we don't get that decision on the spot Bitcoin ETF in the next day or 24 hours or so. Yeah, that's what I would say about that. I mean, you're getting the red histogram starting to wane back, starting to decelerate, and you are seeing curls in those MACD lines, kind of signaling that exactly what you see on the charts, that there's some stabilization, there's some consolidation, albeit well below, where it was trading, where Cosmos was trading here, below these lows. So I don't like that from a bullish perspective. This is not, it's not bullish because it's trading below these lows here that it was able to kind of stay above for the majority of this trading period back here. So the fact that it can't get back above that is not a good sign because it's going to treat that as heavy resistance once it gets back up there. And by there, I mean $10.37 is kind of that resistance level there. So that's what I'd be watching. If we can't push through there, we might have a test lower back to the bottom of this wick and then lower, perhaps. So that's my Cosmos analysis. Let me know what you think about it in the chat. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Is there something I'm missing on the charts that is going to make you absolutely lose your mind? Was it as bullish as can be, but I was just missing it? Let me know. Peak to trough for DOT actually had a little bit more of a sell-off there, even 22.5%. So, these interoperability chains were definitely not immune to the bearishness yesterday. Let's take a look here. The upside potential, though, for DOT is about 9.5%. Going back to the local highs here, about 24%. So, again, I don't have anything against either of these chains. I think that they're ultimately going to do pretty well. You see the MACD's looking pretty similar to what Cosmos was looking like with the deceleration and then deceleration in the red histograms and the slight curling of the MACD line signaling momentum wants to move back to the bullish side, but that Ichimoku telling a different story with the indicator still squarely in the bear zone. So let's go ahead and get into this story here, which is that tomorrow we could be seeing the Bitcoin spot ETF approved. U.S. SEC to give Bitcoin ETF issuers approval notice by January 5th. As the deadline, January 10th, approaches, analysts and issuers in the exchange-traded fund space express confidence in a positive decision for the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Stakeholders remain optimistic as the SEC engages in discussions with key partnerships regarding the approval of Bitcoin ETFs. Speaking to Fox Business, the SEC spokesperson said, broadly speaking, if the Commission declares a registration statement effective, that is reflected in EDGAR. Any Commission 10b/4 orders will be posted on our website and then published in the Federal Register. So this is bullish to some extent because they're kind of giving the media, this is a message to the media, kind of a reminder, hey, where are you going to find about this first? How are you going to know when the statement is effective, registration statement is effective? edgar.com, which if you don't know, if you're not into the stock market, you can be forgiven. I'll just go ahead and show you guys really quick. So EDGAR is where you go to check the filings for all publicly traded stocks. So you can go here and you type in Apple, right? You can see, and then you can go and check their filings. So the update from the SEC is likely going to be here. It's probably going to be in the press releases. So we will know when and where the SEC is going to approve or disapprove the spot Bitcoin ETFs. It's going to be here on sec.gov/news/press releases is essentially what this article is saying. Recent meetings in the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission have generated optimism among majority money managers and cryptocurrency firms awaiting approval for a dozen Bitcoin ETF applications. In particular, the SEC is actively engaged with exchanges, urging them to revise and finalize their 19B4 filings. Interesting. However, the SEC retains the authority to reject the applications, introducing an element of uncertainty. A recent research note from Singapore-based crypto platform Matrixport suggests an expectation of rejection for all spot Bitcoin ETF applications. Of course, that was the big headline yesterday, Matrixport. I learned something here, that it was Singapore-based. Didn't know that. The note cites factors such as Democratic majority within the SEC's 5-member commission and Chairman Gary Gensler's cautious stance towards embracing cryptocurrencies is contributing to this anticipation. All right, of course. So that report from yesterday from Matrixport did draw the line kind of between, the election cycle here and the likelihood of the spot Bitcoin ETF being approved. So if that is what you want to put all of your eggs into the basket of, if that's the basket you want to put all your eggs in, then be my guest. I'm going to continue to hold my Bitcoin exposed assets, and I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. Let me know, guys, are you taking precautions here? Are you opening up a hedge? Are you going short on Bitcoin just in case? What are your moves here in the crypto landscape as we march towards this January 10th date that is so very important? And do you think that tomorrow, January 5th, could be the day that we get an answer from the SEC? Personally, I think it's possible, right? I think after reading these articles, I do think it's more possible than I would have thought yesterday before reading the articles that we could see an approval on January 5th. I think the door's open to that. However, I don't know if there's going to be that until the 10th. I'm still thinking that they're going to wait it out until the 10th. But honestly, guys, the way that these things sometimes go is they'll sit here, and by they, I mean Wall Street, essentially Larry Fink and Gary Gensler, maybe more just the Wall Street side of that, less the regulators. But they sit here and they go, hey, what could we really do? What do we really want? Well, we want to buy assets low. We want to sell them high. So what can we do to get the price of Bitcoin back lower so that we can buy it lower? We're about to go into business selling Bitcoin. How can we get Bitcoin at a lower price so that when we sell it, we make more money? That's ultimately their MO at this point in time, their mission operandi. How can they do that? Well, they can wait, or they can time it perfectly. If it's going to make more sense for them to get that approval tomorrow, they may say, hey, Gary, look, you kind of have already told us you're going to approve it. We'll keep that a secret. But can you tell the public that you're going to approve it tomorrow instead of the 10th? And depending on what kind of sacrifice to the gods that Wall Street's willing to make, Gary may indulge them. But it is all still very uncertain. We don't know if the spot Bitcoin ETFs are even going to be approved. We still have to wait and see. But I have T. Shreem, and I've been speculating heavily. Definitely don't take, especially the last quarter of what I've said here, as anything close to fact. It's mere speculation. However, what we saw in the text today does indicate that tomorrow could be the day or approval. So definitely be tracking that. I will absolutely be live again at 9 a.m. tomorrow, okay, Thursday the 5th, and Friday the 5th, and we'll be rocking out. Now, 3 p.m. today, we'll also be going live. Now, you see something on my screen. It's that Bitcoin Day. You see this right here? Bitcoin Day. What is that all about? Well, I'll tell you what it's all about. It's an event that Tim and I are going to be attending down in Naples, Florida. Go to bitcoinday.io. We've got a link to it in the description. There's no discount available right now from Bitcoin Day, but they did give Tim and I free tickets, and we're going to be attending and having a great time. If you do think you'll be able to go, let us know on Twitter. Let us know in our Discord, and we'll plan to spend some time with you down there. It's honestly not that expensive of an event, and it's on January 20th of this year, so it's coming up fast. You got to get your tickets. If you live in South Florida or you live anywhere in the Southeast, this is a reasonable trek If you live out in California or Seattle or Hawaii or outside of the U.S., I can understand skipping out on this event. But honestly, if you live in South Florida and you want to meet the bros, you want to network, you want to celebrate Bitcoin, this is an excellent time to do that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been T-Shroom, and I will catch you at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Until then, stay hydrated and use your stop loss. Peace.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.